But take it with a grain of salt.
But hold on. Are there Lions fans out there that are really ready to fire Dan Campbell after one bad year? 888 say ESPN.
Nah.
888-729-3776.
There's no way. Nobody's going to call.
Emmett, what? Nobody's going to call.
Nobody's going to call.
Wait a minute. We're on. Do you know how many affiliates we're on? We're on 400 affiliates.
Oh, our audience is massive.
Do you know how many Lions fans are? We're on Sirius XM Channel 8. We're on your smart speaker. We're on TV in every gym in America.
Absolutely.
Every spinning class in the United States.
Yep.
I bet we're going to have full lines on this topic.
Not wanting to fire Dan Campbell. That's what I'm saying. I don't think there are real people that want to fire Dan Campbell.
Yeah.
I think there might be bots on the internet.
Yeah.
Right? I think there might be, 749-289 Sam that might want to fire Dan Campbell, but I'm not sure. I don't believe a real person wants to fire.
You believe
Dan
it's
Campbell.
Russian interference?
Absolutely.
That's trying to fire Dan Campbell. Okay, Emmett, I will tell you this, okay? Of all the teams in the league this year, I knew the Browns and the Jets, some of these teams were going to struggle.
Right.
Cincinnati's been a real disappointment, but a lot of that is injury-driven.
Yeah, Burrow got hurt.
But I think when you look at, not that like the sports gods were against them. Lamar Jackson, it looks like, is not going to play tomorrow night for the Ravens. Like the reason they fell apart, I think, is mostly the fact they didn't have their MVP quarterback all year.
Right.
Emmett, I think the Detroit Lions are the most disappointing team in the NFL this year.
Yeah.
They're coming off a year where they were the prohibitive Super Bowl favorites.
15-2.
They fell flat on their face in a playoff game against Jaden Daniels, a rookie quarterback they had at home.
Yeah.
To lose that game, then they come in this year, Emmett, on paper, their roster, they are as talented a team as you will find. Do they have good receivers? Yes. Do they have a tight end? Yes. Can they block you? Yes. Jahmyr Gibbs is electric. They've got guys on defense.
Yeah, you got a great pass rusher and everything.
How are they 8-8 and out of it with a week to go? They're playing a meaningless game for the Detroit Lions next week.
It shows you how fast things come at you in the NFL. You could be on top of the world one moment, and next thing you know, you're wondering where did it all go wrong, because you're right. There are teams you just understand why they had a bad year.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily understand why Detroit had a bad year. Right?
I'm going to say, can I try to answer that question?
Sure, go for it, because I can't answer that question.
I think it started when Ben Johnson left.
Okay. Yeah,
I
good
think
point.
that was the beginning of, because I think at that point, he and Dan Campbell were a great combination together, because Dan Campbell could give the locker room speeches,
bite your kneecaps,
bite a bunch of kneecaps, be the resource for the team, relate to players really well. And then if you wanted somebody who could cook up an awesome offensive game plan to just smoke you, Ben Johnson was the guy. So then this year, they bring in new offensive coordinator who then kind of gets fired, halfway through the season.
Got play calling taken away from him, which is never a good thing. It's one of my rules.
So that was emblematic. You brought this up yesterday that you thought the Lions, you kind of knew that things had gone off the rails. I kind of knew that things had gone off the rails when they played so poorly against the Packers in the first game of the season. I was like, what is going on there?
Yeah, I don't put any stock in anything that happens in the first 2 or 3 weeks of the NFL
season. I don't either.
At all.
Hold on, but in hindsight, it was a precursor of things to come when they couldn't score at Lambeau.
Hindsight, sure. I think we could look at that now and make that connection. The fact of the matter, though, is if I know that fan base has got to be disappointing. One of the toughest things, I think, for an NFL team to do, especially when you're coming out of being the bad team, is doing it multiple years in a row. Yeah. We here in Cleveland, we've actually seen the Browns go to the playoffs twice in a span of like 4 or 5 years, which we hadn't seen in 20-something years. But what happened every time the Browns made the playoffs, the next year, boom, right in the toilet.
Well, the Lions had been good for like 3 years in a row. There was a year, the year they should have gone to the Super Bowl when they had the 17-point lead at halftime. I don't want to remind Detroit fans of that. But I guess now you're wondering, if you're a Lion fan looking ahead, Emmett, is this is an era over, or did they just have one bad year and they can bring back this core? Jared Goff, Jahmyr Gibbs, St. Brown, and Laporta, and Aiden Hutchinson, and is that the core of a Super Bowl team, or do they need to shake it up? Is the bigger problem the coach? Or I've also heard some Lions fans wondering about the quarterback. And certainly Sean McVay felt this way about Jared Goff. He wouldn't have traded for Matthew Stafford otherwise.
Yeah, I think this is where we overreact, right? This is where it just in our country, our society right now, something goes wrong. We're like, could they have the answer? It's a bad year. It's 1 year. It's a bad year. They probably do need to pay attention to the offense from a coordinator side.
Yeah.
Sure, I'll look at that, but you don't need to blow it up or make any major moves to this team at all. Even at quarterback, I don't think you need to make a big move.
But, Emmett, I think if you ask most Lions fans, who would you rather have as your head coach right now, Dan Campbell or Ben Johnson? I mean, maybe some of that is prisoner of the moment.
That's exactly what it is, because they weren't saying that the year before when they were 15-2.
But I think what's the big loss? What's the big difference between last year and this year? It's that offensive coordinator. What was he maybe distracted, going into that playoff game last year? I don't know. 888 say ESPN. They asked Dan Campbell after the game last night, Emmett, a disappointed Dan Campbell, after the Lions lose to Max Brosmer and the Vikings to officially be eliminated from the playoffs, whether he's going to be making any big changes moving forward. Take a listen.
Yeah, I'm going to be looking at a lot, I'm going to be looking at a lot of things because I do not like being home for the playoffs, and I know our guys don't either. So, and there again, whenever you lose, man, it takes a village, man. Everybody's involved, including myself, So I'm always going to look at myself first. I'm always going to wish I would have given Goff more, given those players more. Like on a day like today, you come out, you lose, win, doesn't matter, man. If, you feel like you need to improve or can't improve, you want to, so.
Yeah, it's got to be tough because, again, when you have high expectations, especially when you feel like you missed an opportunity last season.
Yeah.
15-2, you think you're going to the Super Bowl, you lose in your first playoff game, and you think, okay, we'll get them next year.
Yeah.
You didn't get them next year, but I do appreciate that at least Dan is wrapping himself in this too, and not just the players, yada yada yada.
I want to apologize to our audience as well. Emmett, yesterday I said adjusted line, take the Lions like -20.
Yeah.
Because I thought Brosmer was, it was going to be in a tough spot.
He was.
Emmett, he threw for 51 yards.
Yeah.
They won the game. They won the game with 3 net passing yards.
Yes. Well, there were 6 turnovers by the Lions, and I want to say, 5 from Jared Goff. It was a bad day for Jared.
It was a bad day for Detroit. But, Emmett, you don't see that often. So if you subtract the 48 yards that Brosmer got sacked from the 51 yards he threw for, that's how you get 3 net passing yards, and yet they won by 2 touchdowns.
Right.
23-10 the final. 888 say ESPN. We will get to your calls coming up at 888-729-3776. What is the biggest problem? What is missing in Detroit, and who was the biggest winner of all on Christmas Day, not just in the NFL, but also in the NBA. 888-729-3776. 888 say ESPN. I'm Aaron Goldhammer. He's Emmett Golden. As Unsportsmanlike rolls on, we are live from our palatial studios at ESPN Cleveland, day after Christmas. This is ESPN Radio, the ESPN